Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome to another stimulus check update, as crazy as it sounds. But the idea really is that in the last update, what we really talked about is giving people details about the stimulus check program, specifically the $5,000 Doge stimulus check program, and all of the details such as like the background story to how it works, how it came to be, and everything like that. But in today's video, as maybe a part 2, which you can watch in either order, because today's video, what we're really going to cover is answering a lot of the common questions from the first video that we made, which I highly recommend checking that out. I'll probably put that video either at the end screen so you can watch it after this video or in the comment section, but you can watch it in either order, because in today's video what I really want to do is pretty much just answer some very common questions that people had about how this stimulus check program worked. I have an agenda written down where we're going to be talking about the form of payment. So for example, how to actually get this stimulus check program if it were to approve, who will receive this stimulus check program, potential things that might change as a result of, because again, this is currently still a proposal. And finally, maybe ending this video by talking a little bit about the probability of how probable it is to be approved, because there is a very reasonable chance, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, how even if you don't necessarily believe that this stimulus check program currently is going to be approved as it is reasonable to think that they might potentially make changes to this program to come out with a new proposal, and maybe the new proposal is something that can potentially be approved. Of course, it's going to make a lot more sense, and we're going to go into to a lot of details about this in today's video. So with that being said, let's just get right to this video. But as always, if you guys enjoy videos like this, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. We will get more information, and hopefully we'll be sure to share them. So if that's of interest, consider subscribing, and let's get started. So the first common question that we really have to cover is that if this stimulus check program was to genuinely approve, then the question becomes, how would we actually be able to physically receive the payment and receive this stimulus check into our bank accounts? So what's really important to notice is that this stimulus check program is very similar to the first and second, third stimulus check program, at least in terms of the delivery. There are differences which we've already talked about in the first update, which again is going to be linked at the end or in the comments. But one of the similarities between this and past stimulus checks is that they're meant to be coming in the form of a tax refund. And so because of that reason, the same exact way that you would typically receive your tax refund from the IRS, that is going to be the same exact way that the stimulus check, so this stimulus, the $5,000 stimulus check, is going to be coming. In other words, the bottom line is that it should be something that's going to come automatically, if assuming that they already have your information, which they probably do, because at the end of the day, this program happens to be a tax refund. And so if you were to typically get your tax refund every tax season anyway, then they probably already do have your information. But if they don't have your information, there's likely going to be a form that you can complete exactly like how the first, second, and third stimulus check worked. And now instead, they're going to be using that information to deposit this $5,000 stimulus check into your bank account. So that's really talking about the details to how this would work. Now, in terms of who will actually be receiving this stimulus check, so this is the part that's really interesting. One of the differences that we talked about from the first video between the first, second, third, and this present day stimulus check is that the first couple of stimulus checks that were approved in 2020 and 2021 in a lot of ways acted as survival checks, in the sense that yes, they were meant to stimulate the economy, but for a lot of people it was also made to help support a lot of low income individuals or people that had lost work and were unemployed at that time period, including myself, because one of the reasons why this channel came to be was because it was to bring a lot of unemployed people together. If you're new here and you're interested in joining this community, maybe consider subscribing. But the idea really is that the first couple stimulus check programs, they were meant to be survival checks. So as a result, the target audience was a lot of the poorer or lower income people to help them get through what they were getting through back in 2020 and 21. However, the biggest difference now is that in present day with this stimulus check is that this is really meant to be a little bit as a gift to tax paying Americans who pay a lot of money money in taxes to be able to give back some of the money for them as a way to just support them for paying taxes all these years. In other words, the downside to it is that the biggest difference, or one of the big differences, sadly, between the first, second, third, and this present day stimulus check is that if it were to approve, less people will probably be qualified to get this stimulus check, especially because this stimulus check, actually the target audience is really for a lot of people in the middle class. And also, especially because right now, as we've talked about in the first video, about how the funds that they're going to be using to create the stimulus check program is not money that's going to be freshly printed, but instead it's going to be money that's recycled that already exists. As a result, there is only a very limited supply of money that they have to create this program. So as a result, they have to potentially make it a lot more niche to be able to actually physically fund it. Otherwise, the math just would not make sense, because the math has to come from somewhere at the end of the day, right? You have to actually have physically enough money to fund such a program. And that's really the reason why this program is probably going to be a little bit more niche. Now, to maybe answer another common question I know some people had is whether or not this program can be changed. And this one is going to be an absolute yes. This program can very, very much change at any time. And the reason why, especially because we've already talked about the math side of things, is that because right now at this current time period, they are working with about $55 billion, if you want an exact number. And so if you were to do the math, given the population of America, what this means is that, long story short, is not every single American, and not even every single American above 18, so every single adult, is going to be able to qualify for the stimulus check program. As a result, it is very, very probable to believe that if this stimulus check program was to approve, that they're probably going to modify it in a lot of different ways. Maybe they modify the qualifications so that more people can qualify for it, but at the same time, maybe they reduce the amount so that while more people qualify for it, the amount that they would potentially receive is going to be a much less than $5,000. So there's a lot of things that right now can be changed. That's why if you guys are brand new here, consider subscribing, because we will be, updating and sending out notifications if we do get any changes. But the idea really is that the changes can revolve anything around, such as like the qualifications, the actual dollar amount, who will be able to get the stimulus check, the way it will be delivered. A lot of details are currently up in the air that we don't know for sure right now, but this is basically what we do know at this current present time. And probably the last common question, and the last thing I really want to cover in this video, is going to be talking about what is the probability of actually approving this stimulus check. So this is the part that's really subjective and very, very interesting, where the opinions are a little bit all over the place. So I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, whether you think this is going to go through or not, or if maybe you think maybe not necessarily this program, but a modified version of the stimulus check program is going to go through. But the idea really behind this one is that the probability right now, as hard as it is to say, is that this specific program, as where it stands right now, is probably going to have a little bit of difficulty approving. Because right now at this current time period, it's going to cost a lot of money to send out $5,000 to a lot of Americans, even if it has to be Americans above 18. As a result, they're probably going to have to modify it if it was to approve. With that being said, because there are a lot of people that do support this program, as well as of course people that don't support this program, it is reasonable to believe that even if they don't necessarily approve this stimulus check program in the form that it currently is at right now, they may modify in a way so maybe a different program, but that also delivers stimulus checks as well, can potentially be approved, even if they have to do it on a local and state level, which is something that we've talked about back in the stimulus check era, how there were a lot of states that, although they were not able to get the fourth and fifth stimulus check approved, there were states that ended up just ultimately doing their own physical stimulus check program, delivering it just to the people in their specific state. So that is something that is still very, very much on the table, that is very possible to potentially happen. So we don't know what's going to happen, but it is something that's possible. The other big thing that I think is really important to notice is that this program is very, very interesting because typically a lot of the people that support sending money to Americans happen to be on the Democratic side. That's why it was mostly the Democrats. Again, leaving politics aside, just talking objectively speaking, a lot of the people that supported stimulus checks back in 2020 and 2021 were Democrats. And so it is reasonable to think that maybe some of the Democrats will support this stimulus check program again. But what makes this program interesting is that also because this specific program was actually created by Republicans. So obviously, because it was created by Republicans, there are Republicans that support this program. So what makes this program really interesting is that essentially the bottom line is that there are actually people from both parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, that support doing this stimulus check or some version of a stimulus check program right now at this time. At the same time, there are a lot of people from both parties that oppose this because we know right now that we have an inflation crisis situation that's horrible inside of our economy right now. And so as a result, in order to fight inflation, they may be resistant. So people from both parties might be resistant to do any stimulus check program. But the idea really is that the probability of approving this one is probably going to be difficult, but at the same time, not necessarily impossible, even if it's a different version of this particular program. And I think that's probably one of the biggest takeaways to really take out of this video, if there's any, hopefully to kind of clarify what's going on. But with that being said, hopefully that wraps up the common questions that I know a lot of people have. If you guys enjoyed that video, as always, that's pretty much what I really wanted to cover. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell as we get more information to share, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.